Well, you might think if you're looking for entertainment in Nottinghamshire, the town centre of Mansfield or Newark, maybe the city centre of Nottingham's the place you would go for entertainment. How about a farm up a fairly rough farm track off the A612, somewhere near Upton, which is not so far from Southwell? Well, you may not have heard of the Hopbarn, and yet it is starting to make quite an impression in the local performing scene, and it is literally part of a working farm, which is owned and run by Stuart Poole. Stuart, hello. We're on a farm here.
Yes, we are. This is a family farm.
How long has it been in the Poole family?
Oh, since about the mid-50s.
Wow.
When my father came and bought it, and we moved over here.
Okay.
I was 6 at the time.
And what was life before that? Was it a farming family?
We had a farm in Calverton, which we retained, and so we ran the two farms together with my brother.
So a good Nottinghamshire farming family through the generations.
Very much so. We go back generations, particularly in Woodborough.
Ah.
A lot of history of us in Woodborough.
Now, is it an arable farm or a mixed?
It's a mixed farm. Has been a mixed farm. Initially dairying, and then beef, and latterly pigs. And we had quite a sizable pig breeding, fattening herd here. Hence all the buildings. And then probably in the early 2000s, when my brother retired, I carried on my own for a while. And then we got to about 2010, 12. I was getting older and decided to retire from my own pig herd, which I did. Hence, the buildings became redundant, or some of the buildings became redundant. And I had the light bulb moment one day when I was making pig food in there of it'd make a great jazz club.
Now, I can understand the situation you were in, and a lot of people would have said that would make lovely holiday accommodation.
Yes.
You said lovely jazz club.
Well, yes. My background was I was a chorister at Southwell Minster way back at the Minster Grammar School. I learnt the piano at the time, but then got far enough for my teacher not to be able to take me any further, so I gave that up. Other things came along, like girls and cars, as they do. And then from then on, I just went into the farming business, the family business. And probably 15, 20 years ago, I just had this urge to take up music again.
We stand then in front of the Hopbarn. This literally was a Hopbarn at times. What's it been?
It was, yes.
When you've been at the farm, what's this building actually
Well, we believe that it was connected with the hop growing because unlike a lot of the barns, it was not a threshing barn, hence it didn't have big openings for carts and things. So we're pretty convinced that it was something to do with storage of hops, because there was only two small entries into it. Oh. It became the milling and mixing plant for the pig food that we were making, and that's basically what it was being used for. But being a traditional building, it began to fall into disrepair because it's expensive to maintain. And hence, when it became redundant, we felt, well, we can't let it fall down. And I'd had this idea, and then we just got stuck into it and sort of did it up.
So within a farming courtyard, this beautiful red brick barn, which you can see has been tenderly repointed with some good care taken.
Well, it's been virtually rebuilt.
Rebuilt,
yes,
okay.
Yes, some of the walls were so dilapidated that we had to take them down and rebuild.
Right.
And we used most of the bricks, again, by turning them round to have a new face.
Well, that was outside the Hopbarn. Of course, what goes on inside? You'll find out in a little while. We'll take a trip through the door, across the threshold, meet Stuart's son, Jonathan, who is part of the story of turning an old farm building into a modern, contemporary performing space. It's a small venue, and it, as you've heard, is built into an old hop barn on a farm, and it can seat around about 100 people, so ideal for a small performance, acoustic performance perhaps. And Stuart Poole is the man who owns the farm, and it was his idea to turn the dilapidated barn into some sort of performance space, partly because he himself was a musician as well as being a farmer, a sort of jazz pianist. And helping to run the Hopbarn is Stuart's son, Jonathan. Now, it turned out that Jonathan isn't a particularly musical person, and I thought, well, this is very strange. Where's the musical talent gone in this family? And not passed on from father to son? Well, not a musical talent, but certainly a performing talent, as Jonathan explained to me.
I went down a different route. I went down the dance route. So I actually worked as a dancer for a number of years, and then previously to this job, I was working in Manchester at the Lowry as the Centre for Advanced Training Manager, which is a young scheme for young dancers to train to go into the profession, and it's funded by the Music and Dance Scheme through the Department for Education. So I was working there for about 7 years, and then my father, we were discussing about this venue and what we were going to do, and we made the decision that I would finish my job there and come back here and start to help him run the farm, which he also needed a hand on, but also to develop the programming for the Hopbarn. So that's where we are at the moment, really.
How amazing! I mean, I'm sorry to sound so stereotypical, but a farming family that has got, a keyboard-playing father and a dancing son. It seems to me a little unusual. But tell me, in the farming world, is this?
No,
are you all performers?
It's probably not the normal.
No.
No. I think yes, most farmers will have generations in the farming, and that's all. But yes, I suppose we are a bit unique in that respect.
Wow. Pictures on the wall of performers here, including Stuart at his keyboard there. Also, the Harry Johnson Award in a frame here for the Best Building Restoration 2016. So the efforts were worthwhile. Was it a lot of effort that you guys had to put in yourself, or did you get
No,
builders in?
we did most of it ourselves. Wow. Yes, there was a lot of effort, and my wife Mary, if you look into the main...
Well, we'll go through to the main hall, because as we go
you
through...
will see that she painted all the ceiling.
Oh, my goodness. Now, the ceiling is, well, for a start, very high. What are we, 25 feet to the peak of that, I'd say, with lots of wooden rafters and a lot of painting of ceiling in between all of those rafters. Where did you sling the rope to haul her up? I'm assuming that if you're the musician, you're the dancer. She's the circus performer, your mother, is she? Is that how it works?
We did have some scaffolding to support it, but all the woodwork that you can see is original.
Yeah. The trusses and the beams going across, so it gives a fantastic atmosphere, doesn't it? And then you built a stage at the end?
We have, yes, it's a stage that we put in and take out. That's got to come out for the end of the week performance. So that's an ongoing job.
Yeah. So how many shows do you put on in a year? What's the sort of aim of?
Oh, perhaps Jonathan can answer that.
Currently, averages about 2 a month, although we do sort of split it, so sort of spring and autumn period. The summer period is usually free because we've got obviously the harvest to do, and that takes the precedence. So we have to be really careful when we actually programme. Also, because we're in a rural location, we have to be aware of audiences and where they're coming from. So if we put on too many shows or performances, then obviously the audience deplete because there's too much. So we have to be very careful with our balancing. But we don't just do musical performances, we also offer residencies. And we get a lot of theatre and dance and music companies that will come here for maybe 1 or 2 weeks and do intensive rehearsals. So their company will come, because we can provide on-site accommodation. So they can come and stay here, they can have the studio 24 hours a day, they can be here if they've got a lot of equipment, they can leave it in situ, they don't have to completely clear it away at the end of each day, which is a common practice if they're working in theatres. So really, when they book the space, they've got it completely for themselves for however long they're here, and they've got the beauty of the grounds around, which allows them to get out, to have nice walks in the countryside, and then they can congregate. So it's a bit, in a way, it's a bit like a rural retreat as well.
Yeah, and giving people maybe confidentiality if they want to work out new stuff and not have the feeling of eyes peeping through doors at them in a big shared space, perhaps, which you might get. And also, you can make a fair bit of noise here and nobody's going to mind.
Yes. Yes. There is a rock group that come on a regular basis to practice. In fact, they're here tomorrow evening. They are so loud that they couldn't find anywhere in Southwell because they were too loud.
Well, Stuart and Jonathan, father and son, at the Hopbarn between Southwell and Upton.